Realio. In reality, probably like one segment, if we're lucky, once a month. I would hope for every 2 weeks, but I'm just being real. So let's finally jump into Realio. Been very much requested. If Realio's your thing, ticker symbol Rio, please smash that like. Here we go. So here it is. And Realio, what is this about? Why does it matter to you? It matters to you because you're a token holder. It affects you directly. I want to jump into this. And here it talks about, for instance, on October 16th, let's face it, that was last Monday, right? It says last week's integration of BNB chain on our platform has been a game changer. They have welcomed over 800 plus new users to their platform of Realio. And we are just getting started. Of course, join the revolution. Now, what are they referring to here, guys? Well, let's jump into it a little bit more. So they're stating that, and this affects you, me, everybody, right? Because, I mean, I do have some Realio. I don't have a lot of it, but I do have some. And basically speaking, anyone holding Rio on Ethereum should be bridging to the BNB chain soon. Now, they posted on the 15th. I didn't see this before then. I apologize. Like, I want to keep up with so much stuff. But I will try to do a better job keeping up with Realio. At least I'm not one of those guys from, pumping Piccolo Inu or some garbage meme token or, Mononoke Inu and not updating you guys on a V2, but I accepted a bunch of money, right? Yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I will, at least try to do my best to keep up with some of this stuff. So, yes, guys, this does affect a lot of you guys, because some of you guys bought on Uniswap, okay? So, anyone holding Rio, pay attention to this. Again, alert to anyone. I don't know. Mike Cornwall, I don't know if you bought it on, I think you bought this on MetaMask. So I think this does affect you. So alert Mike Cornwall and anybody else, okay? You should be bridging to BNB chain. And like I said, before any depreciation of the ERC20 contract to avoid unforeseen issues. Yikes. That sounds kind of scary, doesn't it? The bridge is located on an app called app.realio fund. Let's bring you over to that. As this loads up, it's going to show some things. It's trying to make sure I'm not DDoSing them or something. But basically, this is what it looks like. You make an account, you sign in, and then you kind of go to there, right? There's some info about doing that, okay? Getting more into this a little bit more. Hold on, let me backtrack for a second. So it talks about this right here. And they have a thread, and this is where I want to get into it with you guys to share this. So for one, Realio community, like it says, we are thrilled to introduce the integration of BNB chain on their platform. This was back on the 13th. So again, guys, it's not that long ago. It's not like I'm giving you something like Max. This is 2 months ago, right? There's been plenty of that, but this is not the case. So there's a thread. This integration opens up, of course, new multi-chain possibilities for securely bridging Rio and other assets to BNB chain. These are all good things. Like who doesn't want this, and who doesn't want to, save on gas fees, right? We've seen this obviously even with meme coins, right? You'll have projects that are ERC20, but then there's a bridge, for instance, with BNB. People, buy so much on that bridge, or just bridge the assets, or they just go right with, Binance Smart Chain to save a lot of money. Not everybody does that, because some people, do like the security of Ethereum a little better than, BNB, and teach its own. I mean, to me, it's not the big deal. You just get a trust wallet, maybe use Pancake Swap or something like that. Like, what's the big deal? But aligning with their vision of establishing an ecosystem for RWA interoperability across multiple blockchains, that's cool. The whole concept of real world assets, building an ecosystem for, let's face it, Realio, which is a real estate platform. You want to see them build any crypto project wants to have a thriving ecosystem. This point right here, it also means that those participating in multi-chain RIO block rewards on Algorand will see these transitions to BNB chain. Let's face it, most of us aren't doing that. Some of us are. So what about you? Are you that type of guy that was receiving some of those awards? So this affects you too. Might want to look more into it. And speaking of which, that's what we're doing. So if you're currently staking on Algorand, you can bridge your assets to the BNB chain using app.realio.fund. again, just install it, right? It's not going to take that long, and you can apparently seamlessly do it without any problems. Now, back to the whole thing about BNB chain. Users will be able to hold Rio and other assets directly in MetaMask. So I think this would affect my coin. I believe you did say you purchased it with MetaMask. They recommend, though, that users holding the ERC20 version of Rio on the Ethereum bridge take action and bridge their token to BNB chain on app.realio.fund. So again, for some of you MetaMask people, do that. Another thing I want to state is if you're using the web-based version of MetaMask, okay, I don't want to see any of you guys get wrecked. Please don't get wrecked. Do not be lazy with this. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but let's face it, we're all lazy. We can be lazy about certain things. You know what I mean? Like I could be lazy about whatever. You could be lazy even about having a plugin installed. It's not that hard. All you got to do is as soon as you're done with this, just make sure you go to your plugin if you're using the web-based one, and then disconnect MetaMask. Don't leave it plugged in. You make yourself at risk. Because here's the thing. If you have another plugin and it's one that's not necessarily like 100% trusted, there's backdoor ways that they can go from another plugin to your MetaMask and then take your personal data. By disconnecting it, there's still chances, of course, that they can still get it, but why not try to, eliminate that possibility? So just disconnect it, right? Like I know some people, they just love to have it plugged in 24/7. Do you really need that plugged in 24/7? No, you don't. So don't have it plugged in 24/7. Make sure you disconnect it. All right, so they go more into this. Why did we choose BNB chain? And this is where I want to bring it to you guys, because that's a great question. Like, on the surface, it's like, okay, BNB chain, that makes sense. Because obviously Ethereum gas fees suck, especially at the height of a bull run. Getting slapped with big gas fees, like nobody likes that. Obviously, with Binance Smart Chain, it's going to be a lot cheaper, right? So like it says, well, it's second only to Ethereum in DeFi network activity. True, boasting millions of users and plethora of dApps. Right, one that definitely stands out is Pancake Swap on the Trust Wallet, right? Like who hasn't used that at this point? Maybe some of you guys haven't. I don't know. That's what makes it truly special is this unique structure. A little bit more about this. Not a whole lot more. So BNB chain is comprised of two parallel blockchains, the BNB Beacon and also the Binance Smart Chain. BC handles governance, it does staking, voting, and more. Binance Smart Chain is EVM compatible, and we're always pointing out things in regards to EVM sidechains. We deal with Ripple's XRP. We talk about ZK EVM with Polygon. We talk about it all the time, right? This flaunts a consensus layer and multi-chain hubs. There's a few more points here. There's just 3 more points here, okay? BNB chain is globally recognized as a cornerstone of blockchain infrastructure. True. It's dedicated to facilitating public adoption and operates within a community-driven open source framework. At the end of the day, you want more of that adoption for Realio, do you not? Of course you do. So you understand that that's a good thing, even not even counting the whole security side of thing. More adoption is a win. Number 9, with this integration, we will decommission the BNB Beacon chain and its associated wallets on the Realio platform. I didn't realize that. I didn't even know that was a thing. That might affect you. You might want to look more into that. Number 10, those looking to start holding BNB or Rio, as in Realio, on the BNB chain, let's face it, that's going to be a lot of us. You can create a Realio account. Again, back to the whole thing of app.realio.fund, or you can log in and download your seed phrase from the settings menu. Be careful with that. And when you do that, make sure you write down a physical one. Keep it in a safe place. Don't put it on your computer, notepad, and so on. What if your computer gets a virus or something like that? What if your computer hard drive dies? Well, I'll just take it to Magic Joe over at, next to Joe's Barbecue. Okay, so you're going to trust that guy to properly back things up. What if he wants to take your seed phrase off of the hard drive? Think outside the box. Not a good idea. Just write it down on a physical copy. Put it away in a safe place. And also on top of that, make sure that your loved one knows where that safe place is. If you have, for instance, life insurance policy, Why don't you have a policy for your seed phrases? I just, that is so ridiculous. I'm just being honest. I think it's so crazy. Like for me, I already have things set up in which if I die, I mean, I, you don't need to know my whole personal life, but there's a certain person that will get my C phrases and stuff, right? Right. Because I don't want to take it, die and go to heaven and nobody can enjoy it. So what about your wife or whoever, right? Your significant other. Gotta have something. So make sure that somebody knows what that is or where it's at. All right, this part right here. The final point, point 11. We are thrilled about the enhanced opportunities this integration brings. Stay tuned for more updates as we continue to pioneer real world assets interoperability across multiple chains. Happy bridging. That's the update. I mean, it's nothing like amazing like, hey, Realio did this with this partnership. I did look for all that stuff. I didn't really see any of that, but there was a little bit. So I shouldn't say that's the update. That's the update in regards to this thing that affects you directly. But at least I have this, and this was, again, it's from the 28th. But you gotta keep in mind it's Realio. You don't exactly put daily updates like XRP and stuff like that. And it's just the way it is, right? With more adoption and more people getting Realio, we'll probably see that, right? So I thought I'd get into this. It's interesting. September 28th, they did report this. I know it seems like a while ago, guys, so bear with me. Not quite a month, so that's good. If you're investing in tokenized real estate, listen to this stat for a second. Where would you want the token economics to fall in the capital stack? 34.2% of the vote said GP equity. 36.3% said LP equity, like liquidity pool equity, and then some of these other ones, right? What about this in regards to capital stack? Let me blow this up for you guys for a second. I'll put it on the other screen. So on this one, you see where it says the capital stack. The cap stack details the sources of capital used to acquire and finance a real estate transaction. This is good visuals, right? So it says high risk, high reward, to low risk, low reward. Everything has risk. Let's just be honest, right? There's nothing that's 100% soundproof. Maybe Warren Buffett's right. Maybe it's Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola stock. But there's still a little bit of risk. So common equity, were you aware, has, for instance, the highest upside potential. There's, the whole thing of how you can receive cash flow distributions, basic ownership interest with the potential tax benefits. There's no collateral, which is very appealing, let's be honest. Last to be repaid, but there's higher risk. Common equity means an investor's money in a transaction that reflects basic ownership. Okay, what about preferred equity? I know we're getting to some of the stuff, but it is interesting. So with preferred equity, there's less upside than common equity. There's higher yield. The debt receives payments before common equity, and there's higher risk. But preferred equity has the whole thing where investors' money that can, see certain benefits above basic ownership. Again, a little bit higher risk. What about mezzanine debt? Higher returns than senior debt, secured by ownership shares of the property, repaid after senior debt, but before equity. There's medium risk. It's a secondary loan against the ownership of a property. And again, the last one, senior debt, which has the lowest risk. Okay. But there's no gains from appreciation. And in reality, I wouldn't even mess with it. I'm just being honest. I wouldn't. But do what you got to do. There's no, for instance, there's fixed interest payments. People do like that. Most people who buy homes. I used to be a loan officer for 2 years back in 2005 to 2007. And, most people like the whole idea of 30-year fixed mortgages. Why is that? They want a fixed rate. But the reality is, if you ever bought a home, for instance, the whole thing of what? The whole idea of your first 10 years, you're paying towards interest anyway. I would always tell clients, I would say to them, look, I know your heart's set on the whole thing of a 30-year fixed loan, and rightfully so. But in reality, like when somebody says, yeah, but I'm going to move back to the Chicago, like they live in Phoenix. I'm going to move back to the Chicago area in, 3 years. Okay, if you're moving back to the Chicago area in 3 years, you don't need to have a 30-year fixed loan, because we know on the first 10 years, like I said, that's interest. So 3 years, you're just doing interest. That doesn't make sense. And that's, of course, where ARMs became more popular. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, no ARM for me, and so on. But that was a popular thing because, in reality, it's adjustable rate mortgage. It did save people who were doing something like moving back to Chicago in 3 years. And then basically speaking, they could always just go with something else where they do a refinance on that ARM, or enter into like, hey, now I'm in Chicago. Okay. Now, are you going to stay in that home that you chose for 30 years? Yes, I am. Now go with what? Go with the 30-year fixed mortgage. And then, of course, there's other people do HELOCs, home equity line credits. Why am I talking so much about my loan officer days? I don't know, but probably because the whole thing of real estate, right? Realio. So I like the idea that they give you some of that education. It says the capital stack. The cap stack basically means details the sources of capital used to acquire and finance a real estate transaction. They're educating people on this because they feel as though they need to know. And I think you guys appreciate wanting to know as well. All right, jumping back to what we have in regards to all this. I think that might wrap it up. It does. So that's the update for Realio. Don't expect it every day because I can't just pull magic out of the hat every day with Realio, but we'll do our best to try to, continuously cover it a little bit more, because I realize a lot of you guys put in a request for it. I also realize a lot of you guys from the old channel got into Realio because of that deep dive video. Trust me, I get it. And I do appreciate that kind of feedback. It tells me that you liked what we covered originally.